That jar of coffee in your pantry right now? There's a very good chance it's not actually coffee. Not real coffee anyway. Every morning, millions of Australians brew what they believe is pure roasted coffee beans. But laboratory testing has revealed something absolutely shocking. Some of Australia's best-selling coffee brands contain fillers, artificial flavouring and roasting techniques so deceptive they've sparked criminal investigations. In a country that prides itself on coffee culture, where we mock American drip coffee and pay $5 for a flat white, we're somehow tolerating supermarket brands that are selling us roasted grains, chicory, and chemical additives disguised as coffee. The fake roast scandal has been buried by the industry for years, but independent testing has finally exposed which brands are lying on their labels. Today we're exposing 6 coffee brands sold in every Woolworths, Coles, and IGA across Australia. Number 1. International Roast. If there's one coffee brand that defines Australian supermarket mediocrity, it's International Roast. The red and gold tins have been in Australian pantries since the 1960s. It's cheap, it's everywhere, and for many Australians, it's what coffee means. Instant, quick, easy, but International Roast isn't coffee. Not in any meaningful sense. It's a coffee-flavoured product. And yes, there's a massive difference. International Roast is manufactured by Jacobs Douwe Egberts, a Dutch conglomerate formed from the merger of Mondelez coffee brands and Douwe Egberts. They're one of the largest coffee companies on earth, processing over 2 million tons annually. When you operate at that scale, coffee stops being a craft and becomes an industrial commodity. Here's what International Roast actually contains. The label says 100% coffee, which is technically true, but what they don't tell you is which coffee and how it's treated. Independent analysis reveals International Roast uses the lowest grade Robusta beans available on the global market. We're talking damaged beans, broken beans, beans that failed quality control for every other product line. These beans are roasted so dark they're essentially carbonized. Why? Because over-roasting masks defects. Burnt coffee all tastes the same. You can't detect mold, you can't taste rancidity, you can't identify the cheapness of the source material. It's all hidden under a layer of char, but here's where it gets truly deceptive. International Roast uses a process called steam treatment. The beans are exposed to high-pressure steam before roasting. This process was originally developed to remove caffeine, but it also strips volatile aromatic compounds. It makes cheap coffee taste less terrible by removing the flavors that would reveal how cheap it actually is. The result is a product that tastes like burnt rubber with a vague coffee undertone. No complexity, no origin character, no nuance. Just bitter, harsh, one-dimensional darkness. And Australians have been conditioned to think that's what coffee tastes like. Master roasters call International Roast the coffee that made Australia think it hated coffee. It's so aggressively bad that an entire generation associated coffee with bitterness and needed milk and sugar to make it drinkable. Number 2. Moccona. Moccona is the fancy option. The freeze-dried crystals, the premium branding, the ads featuring sophisticated Europeans sipping coffee in cafes. It's positioned as the quality instant coffee, the one you serve guests, the one you feel good about buying. But Moccona is owned by the same company as International Roast. Jacobs Douwe Egberts, same parent company, same supply chain, same procurement standards. The only difference is marketing and processing method. Moccona uses freeze-drying instead of spray-drying. This preserves more aromatic compounds than spray drying, which is why Moccona smells better than International Roast when you open the jar. But freeze drying doesn't change the quality of the source beans. Garbage in, garbage out, just preserved slightly better. And here's what Moccona definitely won't tell you. Their classic medium roast, the best-selling variant, is a blend of Arabica and Robusta. The label says 100% coffee, but it doesn't specify the ratio. Industry insiders suggest it's 60/40ths or even 50/50ths Arabica to Robusta. Robusta is cheaper, harsher, and contains nearly double the caffeine of Arabica. Coffee snobs hate Robusta. It's bitter, it's rubbery, it lacks the complexity of Arabica, but it's cheap, and it creates that caffeine kick people associate with strong coffee. Moccona uses it liberally because it cuts costs while maintaining the stimulant effect consumers expect. The origin labeling is equally deceptive. Moccona claims to source from sustainable farms in Africa, Asia, and South America. That sounds ethical until you realize those regions represent about 90% of global coffee production. It's like saying your beef comes from farms that raise cows. Technically true, completely meaningless. Independent taste testing consistently ranks Moccona near the bottom for instant coffees. Bitter, one-dimensional, with chemical aftertaste. That aftertaste isn't natural. It's the result of industrial processing at massive scale. When you're producing millions of kilograms, quality control becomes about consistency, not excellence. Number 3. Nescafé Gold. Nescafé is the biggest coffee brand on the planet. Owned by Nestlé, the Swiss food giant with annual revenue over $100 billion. When you're that big, you don't compete on quality. You compete on price, availability, and marketing. Nescafé Gold is their premium instant line. The gold jar, the smooth blend promise, the advertising suggesting luxury and sophistication. Australians pay $14 to $16 for 200 grams, believing they're getting something special. They're not. Nescafé Gold is spray-dried instant coffee made from commodity-grade beans. The gold label is marketing, not quality. Independent analysis shows Nescafé Gold contains predominantly Robusta, with enough Arabica to avoid being classified as pure Robusta, which would damage the premium positioning. But here's the scandal that should make every Nescafé customer furious. In 2022, an investigation revealed Nestlé had been sourcing coffee from farms in Brazil using slave labor. Actual slavery. Workers trapped in debt bondage, living in appalling conditions, paid below minimum wage, unable to leave. Nestlé claimed they didn't know. They blamed their supply chain complexity. But when you're the largest coffee company on earth, ignorance isn't an excuse. It's a business model. Buy as cheap as possible, ask as few questions as possible, maximize profit margin. After the investigation, Nestlé announced enhanced supply chain monitoring, but independent audits suggest little has actually changed. The same farms are still in the supply chain. The same exploitative practices continue. Nescafé just got better at hiding them. Beyond the ethics, the coffee itself is terrible. Number 4. Republica Coffee. Republica positions itself as the specialty option available at supermarkets. Organic certifications, fair trade labels, single origin claims. The bags look like they came from a hip cafe in Fitzroy. The price point reinforces the premium positioning, $20 to $25 for 250 grams. But specialty coffee at supermarket scale is a contradiction. Real specialty coffee is limited production, carefully sourced, roasted in small batches to express origin character. You can't do that and also stock 800 Woolworths stores nationally. The logistics don't work. Republica solves this problem by defining specialty downward. They use organic certification as a quality proxy, which sounds good until you realize organic says nothing about cup quality. Organic certification means farming practices, not flavor. You can have terrible organic coffee and exceptional conventional coffee. The single origin claims are particularly misleading. A bag might say Colombia or Ethiopia, but without specifying region, farm, processing method, or varietal. It's meaningless. Colombia is a huge country with drastically different coffee growing regions. Saying Colombian coffee is like saying Australian wine. It tells you almost nothing. And here's what Republica really doesn't want you to know. Their roasting facility operates at semi-industrial scale. They're roasting hundreds of kilograms per batch. That's not craft roasting, that's commercial production with craft marketing. Independent taste testing reveals Republica coffee is acceptable but unexceptional. For $25 per 250 grams, you should be getting transcendent coffee. Coffee that makes you stop and appreciate complexity. Republica delivers mediocrity at premium prices. The Fair Trade certification is equally problematic. Fair Trade guarantees minimum prices to farmers, which sounds ethical. But that minimum is often still poverty level in producing countries. And Fair Trade cooperatives have been documented selling non-certified coffee into certified channels to capture the premium. You're paying for a certification that may not mean what you think it means. When you can buy genuinely exceptional single-origin coffee from local specialty roasters for similar prices, paying for Republica is paying for supermarket convenience, not quality. You're funding a business model that appropriates specialty coffee language without delivering specialty coffee quality. Number 5. Illy Coffee. Illy is the sophisticated European choice. The sleek red cans, the pressurized packaging, the premium cafe positioning. Walk into any upmarket cafe or David Jones food hall and you'll see Illy prominently displayed. It's marketed as the connoisseur's choice, the coffee for people who take their coffee seriously. But here's what Illy doesn't tell you. Despite the premium image, Illy is mass-produced industrial coffee. They process over 60,000 tons annually. That's not boutique roasting. That's factory production with luxury branding. The pressurized can is Illy's signature. They claim it preserves freshness better than bags. What they don't mention is that coffee begins losing aromatic compounds immediately after roasting. Sealed in a pressurized can, those volatile aromatics have nowhere to go. They oxidize inside the can. By the time you open that beautiful red tin, the coffee has been sitting in its own degradation for weeks or months. Craft roasters use one-way valve bags that allow CO2 to escape while preventing oxygen from entering. That actually preserves freshness. Illy's pressurized cans are marketing, not better preservation. The coffee itself is a single blend. Illy doesn't offer variety because they're optimizing for consistency across global markets. 9 Arabica varieties from 4 continents, all roasted to one profile. That sounds sophisticated until you realize it means every cup of Illy tastes identical, whether you're in Sydney, Singapore, or Stockholm. There's no seasonality, no variation, no expression of origin character. And the price is outrageous. $25 to $35 for 250 grams of pre-ground coffee. You're paying luxury prices for industrial product in expensive packaging. Independent taste testing consistently ranks Illy as smooth but boring, one-dimensional, lacking complexity, forgettable. Number 6. Robert Timms. Robert Timms is everywhere in Australian supermarkets. The individual coffee bags, the instant varieties, the ground coffee tins. It's positioned as convenient, reliable, everyday coffee. The kind your workplace buys in bulk, the kind motels provide in rooms, the kind that's always on special at Woolworths. But Robert Timms represents everything wrong with convenient coffee. The individual bags are particularly deceptive. They're marketed as fresh brewed convenience. Just drop a bag in your cup, add hot water, and you've got fresh coffee. Except you don't. You've got mediocre pre-ground coffee that's been sitting in those bags for months, oxidizing and losing whatever minimal flavor it had to begin with. Pre-ground coffee loses aromatic compounds within days of grinding. Those Robert Timms bags could be 6 months old by the time you buy them. You're brewing stale coffee and calling it fresh because the marketing told you it was. The coffee itself is commodity-grade Robusta and low-quality Arabica blended for price, not flavor. Robert Timms is owned by Pact Group, a packaging company. Let that sink in. Your coffee is made by a company whose expertise is plastic and cardboard, not coffee roasting. Independent taste testing consistently describes Robert Timms as harsh, bitter, one-dimensional. That's the Robusta content combined with over-roasting to hide defects. The Italian Espresso blend, one of their premium offerings, tastes nothing like Italian espresso. It's Australian supermarket coffee with Italian words on the package. And those convenient bags? They create enormous waste. Each individual serving comes wrapped in plastic and foil. You're paying for packaging that goes straight to landfill. A bag of whole beans and a grinder would produce better coffee with a fraction of the environmental impact. But Robert Timms isn't selling coffee quality. They're selling convenience to people who don't know better or don't have better options. Office managers buying in bulk, motels trying to provide something that technically qualifies as coffee, and shoppers who grab whatever's on sale. Master roasters won't touch Robert Timms commercially. When asked why, the answer is always the same. Poor quality beans, stale before it reaches consumers, designed for convenience rather than taste. If you're serious about coffee, Robert Timms isn't even in the conversation. You're paying $6 to $8 for pre-ground, stale, commodity coffee wrapped in wasteful packaging. That's not convenience. That's settling for garbage because the marketing made it seem acceptable. The next time you're standing in the coffee aisle at Woolworths or Coles, surrounded by Italian flags and mountain imagery and smooth blend promises, remember what you learned today. Marketing isn't coffee, branding isn't quality, Australian made isn't excellence, and cheap always costs someone something. Which brand shocked you most? Are you still buying Moccona or Nescafe? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more videos exposing what's really in Australian supermarkets, smash that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.